everybody, and hi, G.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey. Okay, guys. I'm Bonnie
How's it
Fanning,
going?
staff copywriter here at AWAI, and I'm here with G. And today we're going to talk about advancing your skills faster. And one of G's favorite ways to do that also means you can get paid at the same time. But in case you guys don't know who G is, which I would be surprised if you didn't, because he's like the famous G. His name is Guillermo, but we call him G. He's been a copywriter for 15 years, both in-house and as a freelancer. And he's one of our top copywriters here at AWAI. Rebecca likes to call him the Rainmaker. And he's also one of our top copy chiefs. I have been so lucky to have G as my own copy chief in the past. And he's by far my favorite coach and teacher. G, you are amazing at what you do.
Too kind. But thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Well,
Glad to be
thank
here.
you for being here with us. So we're doing this, you guys, because I know that when you're kind of at the beginning of your copywriting journey, you may feel like G felt in the beginning. And G, I've heard you say that when you were starting out, you had a lot of fear and you felt like you had to learn everything, right? Like you felt like you had to learn blogs and SEO and sales letters and social media. Can you talk a little bit about kind of that stage in your life and why you felt like you had to do that?
Oh, because of fear, imposter syndrome. What if I get hired and they find out I don't know everything?
Yeah.
So the solution, learn everything and try to be perfect at it.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that there's probably some perfectionists in here too. So they may kind of feel that when you're at the beginning, you just feel like there's so much to know. There's so much to learn. I have to just take this all in. Did you feel like that was true in the end? If you go back and talk to yourself in the very beginning, what would you say? Would you say learn everything? What would you tell yourself?
No. I would honestly just focus on emails instead of trying to write a sales letter.
Really?
Especially for somebody who didn't really have much experience writing. I mean, I was a D English student. It was the only class I did poorly in. I was A's and B's and everything else, but English was C's and D's. So yeah, I would definitely start with emails because they're shorter, easier to learn. You already write them. So that's what I would tell myself.
So yeah, but you learned how to do sales letters, right? You actually
I did.
took on sales letter projects. You were getting paid to write sales letters and whatnot before. So you were kind of establishing yourself as a copywriter, right? Before you kind of switched to making emails one of your main focuses. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because at the time, I mean, email wasn't as, what's the word? Ubiquitous. It wasn't everywhere like it is now.
Yeah.
And the early 2000s. So, I mean, of course, people were using it, but not as much, not like now. And you didn't have all the options, all the technology for doing the stuff on the back end for email marketing, like segmentation and automations and all that kind of stuff you can do nowadays. So, sales letters was the first, not the only way, but it was the main way to get into this industry and become a paid writer.
So would you say, so you're saying now, right, to everybody watching at home, hi everybody, that if you don't know which direction to go, you want to advance your skills faster, you want to get paid well, email is an ideal first project to start with.
Oh, absolutely. Email. It's more specifically, and not just because most clients aren't going to hire you just to write one email. What they're really hiring you for is to write email marketing campaigns, a series of emails, because they rarely will send just a broadcast email, which is just a one-off email. So it's usually a planned out sequence that has a particular goal in mind. That could be to sell a product. It could be to welcome a new customer. It could be to get somebody to come back to the order or to the cart and finish their order. It can be just a, hey, thank you for being such a great person kind of sequence and give them free gifts and stuff. So yeah, usually you'll get hired to write numerous emails, not just one. But yeah, I would start there.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have you explain a little bit more what exactly it means to write emails in a minute. But you guys watching, if you have any questions about writing emails specifically or anything for G, go ahead and ask, because we'll answer those while we're here. I, of course, have some further questions for you about this too.
Go for it. Yeah.
But we want to make sure that we're answering you guys too if you have any questions about this. It's funny because you talked about fear really briefly, G, and there's a lot of people are saying that's the same thing. Like fear of not knowing what to write is what is keeping me from moving forward. Fear of poor results.
Yep, I had that
Mine.
one. Like, what if I write something and it bombs? And I've written
Exactly.
stuff that bombs. I mean, even still.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has written something that bombs. That's the thing. Like even the top copy. I mean, even you're like
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
our
yeah.
top now. Like, yeah, that's definitely a very common fear. So,
Well, the good news is, even if you do write something that bombs and you just have a good relationship with your client, typically nothing bad is going to happen. Like you just get back up and try again. So that hopefully can eliminate that fear. Is that with most clients, most are reasonable, they understand, and usually the project is a joint effort. Rarely are you writing the whole thing by yourself and the client has no feedback for you. Typically the client will be offering feedback, ways to strengthen it. So in a sense, like it's like you're both writing this thing, and so you kind of ultimately both share the the results. And the client, I think,
yeah,
understands that. Most clients do, at least. So
yeah,
if you have
it's,
that fear, just know that usually nothing horribly wrong is going to happen, like nothing majorly wrong, which is what I used to fear. Like I'd get blacklisted from the entire industry and never get hired again.
yeah. It's funny because like I have had a lot of those fears as well in this business, especially in the beginning. And it's just takes like doing it a lot to understand that like you're kind of all in the same boat. Like the marketers are in the same boat with you, the company's in the same boat, and everybody has the same goal to get this good result, and everybody works together. And it's not all just on you, like make or break. You're going to fail for the company. Like that's not really
Yeah.
a thing.
And
So
plus, that's the beauty of email, right? A client
yeah,
can test your copy for next to nothing. It's not like the old days where they had to pay, I don't know how much, in millions in postage, or at least hundreds of thousands of dollars in postage to send something out and test it.
yeah,
So very different from those days. It's much
yeah,
more forgiving.
yeah. So could you talk a little bit about what like what an email project is like? Like what is it like to write an email project, and why is this so great for beginners?
What is it like? It's, I guess, like having a conversation with a good friend over the course of
Mhm,
many days, except you're not getting anything back. It's just you talking to them. But
mhm.
essentially, that's what it's like. At least when you write them, sit down to write them. At least for me. What was the second part of that question?
Why is it so good for beginners?
Oh, because okay, so like, I guess I'm not learning how to write sales letters. I still believe it is a very good skill to have. I spent the time learning it, and I still write
Mhm.
sales letters. But to put it in perspective, so with a sales letter, you're looking at, depending on how fast you are, probably at least a month writing this thing, because it's typically going to be around anywhere from 3,000 to, on the low end, to around 9,000 words of copy.
Mhm.
And it's going to take multiple drafts. And even before you begin writing, you're going to be doing lots of research. You're going to be doing, yeah, a ton of research in order to find your big idea. Once you find your big idea, you then have to spend time figuring out how to encapsulate that idea into a headline that's going to grab attention. Once you've done that, you still have to figure out a good lead so you don't lose that attention you just got with that headline and that big idea you spent all these days researching. And then once you do that, you still have to make the persuasive argument in the body copy, and then you still have to write the offer, risk reversal with the guarantee, and the close, and you can't let up at any of those points. So it's a constant. I don't know. It's like doing one of those high intensity spin cycle classes, I guess. But instead of an hour, it's like 10 hours long, and you just have to keep going even when it burns. And with email, it's much shorter. Think of it as like a short sprint versus like this long cardio session. There's no research because the sales letter is already written. Typically, you're writing emails that go to the sales letter that somebody else wrote. You can
Mhm.
find most of your ideas for your emails in that sales letter, so you don't have to do tons of research. Um, you'll know who the prospect is because the sales letter is there, so you can read it, see what benefits are being highlighted, um, who it's aimed at. So you all that legwork is already done for you. So at that point, it's just writing the emails in a way, in a sequence that gets people to want to click the email, because that's your only goal. You're not trying to sell. In a sales letter,
Mhm.
you're trying to sell, get somebody to take an action right then and right there. With an email, you're still trying to get somebody to take an action, but it's a much smaller commitment. Just, hey, click this link. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's for a beginner, it's much easier in that sense, at least. And it's going to help develop good skills when it comes time to writing those sales letters.
Yeah. We have a lot of questions coming in based on what you're talking about. I think probably one of the most common questions I see about this has to do with like who hires people. So what types of industries would send out emails to be tested? I'm just having a hard time figuring out who a good client would be. So like who
Every
hires
single
people to write
industry, like
emails?
everybody, like even your neighborhood, probably a restaurant, they usually ask you for your email. If you go into a retail store like Express or any mall, they're going to ask you for your email when you check out. So that's just locally, pretty much every local business you could think of, like the massage envies or like the acupuncture places, chiropractors, they all use email. That's locally. And then at a more national level, you have every industry, B2B, health, relationship. I mean, it's how I like to call it email the glue that holds a company together. Because think about it. How would a company make money in today's digital world if they didn't use email? Like, how would they stay in touch with you? How would you find out about a Labor Day sale? How would you find out about your product access instructions to access an online course you bought? How would you get a refund? How would you get technical support? Like it's all email. So pretty much every industry, every company on earth that's serious and it's online is going to be using email in one form or another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't think of a company that's just purely analog that doesn't use email.
Yeah, I really can't either. And I mean, I think about all the email lists that I'm on. Sometimes you kind of get on them by accident, but sometimes you're on an email list that you really enjoy. Like I know there's definitely emails that come into my inbox and I just keep receiving them because I want to know about the upcoming deals and I want to know about, what new product they've released and that kind of stuff too. So like they've done a good job, I think, of, keeping me engaged as a reader. And that's kind of what you're doing also as an email writer. Yeah. So another question came in. You were talking about how if you write emails, it's easier than writing sales letters because somebody else already wrote the sales letter.
Exactly.
And you get to use all their hard work, right, to pull from. So Teresa's asking, how do you find companies that use sales letters?
The easiest way is to sign up for every single free thing you find online from companies that interest you. So if it's a free report, a free video course, a free this, a free workshop, a free webinar, sign up for it. You'll start receiving emails. Click them, click the links in them, and you'll see which ones are using sales letters and which ones aren't. And not all companies use sales. Even if they don't use a sales letter, they have some sort of landing page, which is just all that means is the page that you land on after clicking on the email. And that landing page can be a sales letter. It could just be a simple YouTube video selling something that's like 5 minutes long. It could be a webinar that sells something. So it doesn't have to just be a sales letter. You can go through the landing page, whatever's on the other end of that link you're sending them to, go through that page, and that gives you everything essentially you need typically to write the email sequence.
Right. Another question came in. Ramisha says, I'm intrigued by this. I just got a stash of books on it, but how can I compete with people with campaign stats and proof? I think what you're saying is like other writers who may have proof of what they've written doing well for a company. Like when you're starting out, how do you promote yourself to a company as an email writer?
Well, I talk about this in my mentorship that's coming up, starts on Monday. I do have a method for getting clients with email. Even if you don't have it, you don't need a track record. You don't need a website. You don't need campaign stats or anything like that, honestly, because they're not like the clients. I mean, yes, they want you to be competent, but they're not going to be asking, well, show me your past campaign. I don't think I have past campaign stats. Like the ones I used in the invitation I wrote for this mentorship, I had to go digging through emails and stuff, but like typically it's information you won't have. And it's not like people ask for that. Either way, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you don't need it to get started. If you do what I will show in the mentorship, clients will see that you're competent without you having to quote unquote prove it with stats. Because honestly, even if you have all the stats, the client's still going to want to see what can you do for them. And it's like, that's great. You got those great results for that company. But what about my email list? Because every email list is a different audience and every audience is going to be different. So just because you did something well in one area does not necessarily transport over. At least to a sharp client, they'll know that doesn't necessarily port over because their email list is different.
Right. Okay, excellent. So another thing I kind of wanted to ask you was, if somebody's trying to like pick a niche or find something that they're interested in writing about, could you write emails for just about any topic? Like, is it just certain kinds of companies that you're going to be doing this for, or
every company
can you write about anything?
Yeah, every company, whether it's pets, chess. There's one company I found. All they do is publish a magazine that has to do with Walt Disney World, and all they talk about is what's going on at Walt Disney World, the new rides, what rides are being repaired, upcoming festivals, parades, and that's all they do. They use email. Like pretty much anything you can imagine is going to use emails, and you can write for them. Now, it doesn't mean that all of them have a big, huge budget for writing tons of campaigns, but the point being is that the opportunity is pretty huge, and most, I'd say, medium-sized companies have a budget to pay somebody to write these emails on a regular basis because it's a lot of emails that they send out. Even if it's physical products, I mean, they're sending cart abandon sequences, welcome sequences, like, hey, welcome to the family. Hey, refer a friend. If they do a points loyalty thing, you need emails for that. I mean, it goes on and on.
Right. Yeah. So I'm glad that you mentioned budget. I'm going to ask you about that for a second. In just a minute, I'm going to ask you for some tips for anybody who wants to get started doing this. But before we get there, what can you make like a full-time writing income just writing emails?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I have one retainer that pays 6 figures just to write emails. So yes,
wow,
it can be done.
That's awesome! Oh my god.
Well, let me say email campaigns. Let me be
Sure. Right.
accurate there. But yeah, to write email campaigns, yes. So the answer, yes, you can make a full-time just writing emails. But if you add to that, and it lends itself to retainer deals. I mean, granted, you're not going to get it right off the bat. You do have to gain experience in a relationship with the client. But if you do that, very often it does lead to them, hey, would you like to work on retainer for us? Because you're writing for them all the time.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense.
Yeah. And I will say too that like having written a lot of emails here at AWAI and also in my previous writing gig, and then having, you as a chief, like having a mentor and somebody, like if you're writing them consistently, constantly, like especially for the same company, you get so much faster as you go, and it gets a lot easier as you go, and everything just kind of like gets smoother and faster as you go. Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been able to write like, and I think my record is like 14 emails in like 2 hours or something like that, maybe less.
What? Whoa. That is not
so yes,
guys.
you get faster. I mean, once you do it over and over and you've done it hundreds, thousands of times, it becomes like you can do it in your sleep pretty much. You just the hardest part would be just coming up with the idea and then kind of mapping out the email in your head, like how do you want to introduce that idea?
Yeah. And I know that you have a lot of kind of systems for stuff like that.
Yeah, I do. That help make it go faster, which is why I'm able to write faster.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for somebody who hasn't really gotten into this yet for getting into email writing?
Yeah, I guess the first tip would be to sign up for as many email lists as you can and start saving those emails. The ones that you like, start saving them, create folders for them, study them, try to identify what makes them good in your mind. What makes you, what about them appeals to you? Try to figure that out. And then if you want, start trying to rewrite them in a way that still sounds like the email, but maybe is better. And so that would be, I think, a great way to start dipping your toes into the world of email writing. Is just, sign up for as many, open up a free email account and then sign up for as many free things as you can and start collecting all those emails, categorizing them into different folders and start practicing.
That sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
You had a series of mentors when you got started doing this, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that sped up your progress as well?
Absolutely. It did. what really opened my eyes to email marketing and what it could do was working with Clayton Makepeace.
Mm.
So that's where I really, what's the term? Is it cut my teeth? Is that the,
Yeah.
is that the cliche?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So
It's
yeah,
a weird
that's
one,
where I
but
cut
yeah.
my teeth
I know.
in writing email marketing campaigns.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that like just having worked with you, I've improved so much. Like I feel so fortunate. I'm sorry guys, I'm just going to give G some love here because I feel so fortunate to have worked under you because you are so clear in telling people exactly what it is that they could do that like I feel like my skills improved so much
That's awesome.
under as with you as my copy chief. So if anybody gets like the great fortune to have G as their copy chief, you're extremely lucky.
I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully I wasn't too hard or too not hard, strict, or I don't know.
No. I think you're honest. I wouldn't say you're like
Well,
harsh.
yeah, maybe blunt, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
No.
I don't know. Straightforward, maybe.
Yeah, straightforward. Absolutely straightforward. Yeah. So, which, and you have a program, this email certification program, where you basically act as a mentor. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's 5 weeks long. Starts this Monday, I believe. No, Tuesday the 12th. I think that's the start date. Anyhow, it's 5 weeks long, and essentially the goal of the program is to teach you what I know. My, I guess, system for writing these email campaigns, and so
Yeah.
there's a pre-training module that I want you to go through first that gives you a nice foundation in just writing emails in general, email marketing, and email campaign structure in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first week, you'll watch me interview a client, how I would actually do it once I've landed a project to write an email campaign. You'll see me go through that process, and I'll give you the questions I typically ask just to get you started, so you sound like you've done this before, and not only just that, but so you actually get the information you actually need to write and do a good job, so you have the best chance of getting great results from your email campaign. And then from that point on, I'm going to have you select a product. You're going to choose from one of 3 products for AWAI, and we're going to write an email campaign together for it. I'm going to walk you through each week. You're going to start with subject lines, then we'll start with the first email, then the second and third email, then the 4th, 5th, and 6th emails, and we're just going to do it step by step. Each session will build on the last, and by the time the 5 weeks are up, you will, if you've followed along, written your first email marketing campaign for this product for AWAI, which is then going to be your final assignment. So you can then tweak it and then submit it to AWAI. And if AWAI likes it, they're going to be awarding 3 writers with a $2,000 check for that email campaign. So in total, I think you're going to end up writing like 5 to 10 emails. I can't remember exactly, but it's going to be step by step. It'll move fast, but it's going to be like step by. You're going to write the first. It's going to be done in chunks. So it's structured in that way.
This is going to be the absolute best way for anybody to learn how to do this, because I know I work for AWAI, but G is the absolute best at this. He's amazing at this and so awesome to work with. So I'm really excited that you're doing this. I also saw Teresa said she signed up. Woohoo! Go Teresa!
Oh, good job, Teresa.
And
I forgot the biggest part is I will be reviewing copy. So you'll see me. You're going to get at least one review / copy chiefing from me, which I do live on video. So essentially, like each week you have homework. You do the homework, you turn it in on a Friday. Over the weekend, I go through all the homework submissions. AWI will pick out a few of them to go, since I can't do all of them, depending on how many people join. And so I'll go through them and just record my screen with your email and me making track changes and explaining why I would change what I'm changing, what my thought process is, how I would strengthen that email. So this way you write the email and then you get some feedback, and you get to watch feedback that other people are getting too on how to strengthen the emails that they've written. And by doing it that way, I feel it really gives you just kind of real world experience on how to strengthen an email and what it looks like to take an email from where it is to where it kind of quote unquote should be.
Yeah.
For a client.
Yeah. And that's huge, but that's only just like a part of it because G, I know that you have systems for a lot of things that you do, systems for like writing copy, for reading copy, for like getting clients. You're like probably one of the most system-based people that I know in this world. And you're going to share a lot of that with people in this as well.
Yep. I will show you how my system for laying out, outlining the campaign, outlining the emails.
Yeah.
It just makes the writing process go easier. Instead of, okay, I landed a 10 email project. Now what?
Now what? Yeah. You'll know exactly
And just
what to
staring at
do.
a blank page, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't
You'll
want
have
you
the
to have
system
that
of the
experience.
rainmaker. Sorry, G, what were you going to say?
No, that's fine. Basically, the system to write those emails so you're not staring at a blank page, and you have a plan on how to complete those 10 emails in such a way that the sequence moves somebody to click the link and buy the thing on the other end, or whatever that goal might be. It doesn't have to be to buy something.
Sure. Yeah. Just get to the promo.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys can see the whole, all the details about this if you go to awai.com/email cert. And today's the last day to get in.
Oh yeah.
So,
Today's the last day.
So go check it out.
And I will say, like, even if you don't plan on specializing in writing these emails campaigns, and even if you don't take this mentorship with me, it doesn't matter. I would still recommend you learn how to write emails and these email campaigns, because you will be asked to write them. So let's say you become a sales letter writer. You spend all your time writing sales letters, learning them, or let's say white papers, or even case studies. The next question is going to be, okay, great. Now we need a few emails to send people to the sales page, to the white paper, to the case study. And so it'd be nice if you know how to write them so you can get paid to write those too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd have to would have to hire somebody else.
Right. Yeah. So, it's just another way to make more income if you're doing something else.
Well, it is, and it's just giving value too, because I mean, even if you don't charge for it, I mean, they're still going to ask you for those emails to send to the sales letter, the landing page, whatever is on the other end that you just wrote.
All
So
right.
it's a good skill to have overall. So no matter what, learn how to write emails.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like we were saying, you end up writing them a lot. So you really build your skills so much faster in taking on these kinds of projects.
Well, yeah, I started specializing in email because after writing sales letters, I found I spent more time having to write the emails after I finished writing the sales letter. Because there's so many emails involved in a full marketing campaign that, you're going to end up writing a lot of them. If you plan on going the sales letter route, you definitely need to learn how to write the emails. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can just go the plain old email route too, if you want.
So. True. You can just focus on the emails.
Yeah.
But either way, you'll be writing emails. Guaranteed.
Yeah. So you need to learn this anyway.
Right, so I would strongly suggest it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's so nice to hear from you and have your insights today, G. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited for everybody who signed up for your mentorship because you are the best. So thanks again. And thanks everybody for watching.
See you guys. Thank you, Bonnie. Bye.